All right, so, we're diving into Lord of the Flies today.
Yes.
It's a book everyone's heard of, but I'm really excited to kind of dig deeper into it with you.
Me too.
Just to set the scene.
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't read it in a while or maybe hasn't read it at all.
Right.
It's basically about this group of British boys who are stranded on this deserted island after their plane crashes, during wartime.
Yeah.
And so there's no adults, no rules.
Just them.
It's just them.
Yep.
And you have this kind of wild beauty of the island.
Yeah.
And, it just seems like there's so much potential for both amazing adventure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But also like utter chaos.
Absolutely.
And so what could go wrong.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly what Golding is kind of exploring here. It's like, what happens to human nature when those rules of society are just totally stripped away?
It's really fascinating how he uses this seemingly idyllic setting, this island paradise, to expose the darker side of human nature.
Right.
It's not just a thrilling survival story or anything.
Whoa.
It's a deep dive into the psychology of power.
Oh, yeah.
And fear and these primal instincts that we all have that are kind of lurking beneath the surface of civilization.
Yeah. And the way Golding sets this all up, I think, is just brilliant.
Yeah.
Because we're first introduced to Ralph.
Right.
And, he kind of embodies this pure sense of joy and liberation.
Yes.
When they first get there.
Yeah.
He's described as being almost intoxicated by the beauty of the island, reveling in the freedom from grown-ups.
Totally. I mean, it's like he's stepping into this childhood dream almost.
Right.
Golding's descriptions of the lagoon and the shimmering colors,
Oh, yeah.
And Ralph standing on his head in pure exhilaration.
Yeah.
All contribute to this sense of wonder and possibility.
Right. But even in those early chapters,
yes,
there's a shadow lurking.
There is, yes.
Right? There's this sense of foreboding that kind of permeates the whole thing.
Yeah, and then you have Piggy with his glasses and his constant worries.
Right.
He's like the voice of reason, trying to kind of cut through that initial euphoria.
It's like he gets it.
Yeah, he's the one who immediately grasps how serious the situation is.
Yeah.
The potential for things to go horribly wrong.
Right.
And that line of his, "We may stay here till we die."
A chillin'.
So chillin', right?
Yeah.
Because it foreshadows all the darkness that's coming.
Yeah.
It's such a stark contrast to Ralph's naivety.
Yeah, and that contrast, I think, is what really sets the stage for the conflict that will unfold.
Absolutely.
Between those two characters and their different ways of seeing the island and their situation.
Yeah, and then, of course, there's the conch.
Right.
This symbol of order and democracy that they try to cling to.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that even the conch, as powerful as it seems, even that proves fragile.
Yeah, it's like you'd think this symbol of civilization would have more power.
You would.
To kind of hold them together.
Right, and I think that's exactly what Golding's getting at. That, the conch represents their attempt to, recreate the structures of society that they left behind.
Yeah.
But as they descend into savagery, the conch kind of gradually loses its power.
Right.
Think about all the times when the boys ignore the rules,
Yeah.
or when they talk over each other or outright disregard Ralph.
Well, they just don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The conch becomes this almost pathetic reminder of a civilization that they're quickly leaving behind.
It's like the conch itself is a mirror to the boys' own internal struggle.
Absolutely.
As their primal instincts take over, it becomes less and less meaningful.
Exactly. And the cracks appear early on,
Oh, yeah.
Think about the introduction of Jack and his immediate cruelty towards Piggy.
That's the scene that always gets me. When he calls Piggy fatty and all the other boys just erupt in laughter.
I know, it's so heartbreaking, but it's also so revealing about the dynamics of power and bullying.
Right. It's not just a childish taunt.
No.
It's like he's deliberately trying to assert dominance.
Exactly.
To establish this hierarchy.
Yeah.
Based on fear and intimidation.
And the other boys, by laughing, they're complicit.
Yeah.
They're already showing those signs of succumbing to the allure of savagery.
It's amazing how Golding uses those seemingly small moments.
I know.
Like just a simple insult.
You're right.
To foreshadow these much larger and darker events.
Exactly, and that's what makes Lord of the Flies so powerful.
Yeah.
It's not just about those big dramatic moments of violence. It's about the subtle ways that fear and greed and that desire for power can corrupt even the most innocent hearts.
Right.
And that's where the descent into savagery really begins, isn't it? with those small compromises, those moments where they choose to ignore their better instincts.
Yeah, it's like a slow burn.
It is.
Watching these boys transform from civilized schoolboys into something so primal and terrifying.
And that transformation is often marked by these very symbolic events.
Yes.
Like, for example, the painting of their faces.
Oh, that scene always gives me chills.
Oh, me too.
It's like they're literally putting on masks.
Yes.
Shedding their humanity.
Right.
And embracing this more primitive, animalistic identity.
Remember what Jack says as he's putting the clay on?
Oh, yeah.
For hunting, like in the war, dazzle, paint like things trying to look like something else, like moths on a tree trunk.
Yeah.
He's consciously choosing to become something else.
Right.
Something darker, something that can unleash violence without shame or remorse.
It's like the paint liberates them.
Yeah.
From the constraints of civilization.
Totally.
It allows them to tap into this primal energy that was always there, lurking beneath the surface.
And this connects to their growing fear of the beast.
Oh, yeah.
This unseen terror that haunts the island.
It's interesting how the beast takes on all these different forms in their imaginations.
Right.
It starts as like snakes and shadows.
With the little,
Yeah, with the little ones.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes this really sinister thing.
It becomes a manifestation of their own inner fears and anxieties.
Yes.
And because the beast is never clearly defined,
right,
that makes it all the more terrifying. It represents the unknown,
right,
the primal fear that lies at the heart of the human experience.
And as their fear grows, it fuels their descent into savagery.
Yes.
Like they become so consumed by this fear that they lose sight of reason, of compassion, of everything that makes them human.
And tragically, it's Simon.
Right.
The one who seems to understand the true nature of the beast.
Yes.
Who becomes its victim.
Oh, his death is just so brutal.
It's awful.
So senseless.
I know.
Mistaken for the beast during that frenzy dance.
Yeah.
He's killed by the very boys he was trying to help.
I know it's devastating.
Yeah.
And it marks a point of no return. They've crossed a line and there's no going back.
Right.
From the darkness they've embraced.
And then the shattering of Piggy's glasses.
Oh, yeah.
The symbol of intellect and reason.
Yeah.
Visually, we see this collapse of their fragile civilization.
The destruction of Piggy's glasses is more than just a random act of violence.
Yeah.
It's symbolic of the triumph of savagery over reason.
It's the moment when the island truly descends into chaos.
Yeah.
So we've witnessed this descent into savagery, this loss of innocence, this destruction of everything that represented order and hope.
Right.
Where do we go from here?
Right.
What happens when the battle lines are drawn between Ralph clinging to the last vestiges of civilization and Jack, who has fully embraced his primal nature?
I think it's almost like the island itself becomes this battleground for those two opposing forces. Yeah, you have Ralph desperately trying to maintain that signal fire, clinging to hope of rescue and this return to civilization.
And on the other side, you've got Jack and his tribe, who are just becoming increasingly savage.
Yeah.
They're so consumed by hunting and this lust for power.
It's like this study in contrast.
Yeah.
Ralph represents the struggle to hold on to humanity, even in the most desperate circumstances.
Yeah.
He still believes in rules and fairness and the possibility of rescue.
But he's outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and increasingly isolated.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's almost painful to watch his hope just dwindle as Jack's influence just grows and grows.
And it's disturbing how easily the other boys are seduced by Jack's promises of power and freedom.
Yeah.
They're drawn to his charisma, his willingness to indulge their baser instincts.
It makes you think about how easily societies can unravel.
It really does.
How quickly people can just abandon reason and embrace violence when they feel threatened.
I think that's one of the reasons why this book continues to resonate with readers today.
Yeah.
It's just this timeless exploration of the fragility of civilization and those forces that can lead to its downfall.
It's not just about a group of boys on an island, right?
No.
It's about the potential for darkness.
Yeah.
That exists within all of us.
Golding isn't just telling a story about these specific characters.
Right.
He's exploring the darker side of human nature in general.
Yeah.
And I think he's forcing us to confront this uncomfortable truth that we're all capable of savagery.
Right.
under the right circumstances.
And the fact that he wrote this book in the aftermath of World War II.
Right. When the horrors of human brutality were just fresh in everyone's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that context is crucial.
Yeah.
Golding had witnessed firsthand the depths of human cruelty.
Right.
You know, the ways in which seemingly civilized societies could descend into barbarism.
Right.
And Lord of the Flies can be read as like a reflection of that post-war anxiety. Yeah. That sense of disillusionment with the idea of human progress.
So the island is like a microcosm of the world.
Yeah.
A stage where the conflicts and tensions of like larger society are played out.
In this very raw and primal way.
Yeah. And that's what makes it so unsettling.
It is.
It's not just a story about a group of boys gone wild.
No.
It's like this cautionary tale.
Yeah.
About the potential for darkness that exists within us.
Within all of us.
And the ways in which that darkness can be unleashed.
Yes.
By fear, by violence.
Yeah.
By that lust for power.
And that darkness culminates in that final confrontation.
Right.
Between Ralph and Jack.
Yeah. It's like this ultimate showdown.
It is.
Between civilization and savagery.
And the way Golding uses fire.
Yeah.
This symbol of hope and rescue.
Right.
To highlight the irony of their situation.
You're talking about how it's Jack's tribe who set the fire.
Exactly.
That ultimately leads to their rescue.
It's a stunning twist. That really underscores this complex relationship between savagery and civilization.
Yeah, the fire, which was initially this beacon of hope, this link to the outside world, becomes a tool of destruction in the hands of the savages.
Yes, but it's that same destructive act that brings about their salvation.
It's such a powerful reminder.
It is.
That even our worst actions can have unintended consequences.
For sure.
And in this case, those consequences lead to them being rescued.
Right.
Brought back to the world that they almost destroyed within themselves.
But even though they're rescued, I don't think anyone comes away from that island unscathed.
No.
Think about Ralph weeping on the beach.
Yeah.
Not just for the loss of Piggy.
Right.
But for the darkness of man's heart.
It's so haunting.
It is.
And it makes you wonder if they've truly been rescued.
Yeah.
Or if they'll be forever haunted by what happened on that island.
And then you have that naval officer.
Right.
Who arrives to take them home. He just sees them as a bunch of boys who've been playing this grand game.
Yeah, he's completely oblivious.
Totally.
At the depths of their experience.
Remember what he says?
Oh, yeah.
Jolly good show, like the Coral Island.
It's like he can't even comprehend.
He can't.
The darkness they've witnessed.
Yeah.
The violence they've perpetrated.
And that disconnect between the adult world and the reality of their experience adds another layer of complexity to the ending.
It does.
It suggests that even when we're rescued, even when we return to the safety of civilization, those scars of our past, that knowledge of our own capacity for evil, can stay with us forever.
It's a chilling thought.
It is.
And it makes you wonder about the true nature of evil.
Yeah.
Is it something that exists outside of us? Something we can escape?
Yeah.
Or is it something we carry within us that we have to constantly guard against?
That's the question Golding leaves us with, isn't it?
It is.
And it's a question that each reader has to answer for themselves.
But I think it's clear that the potential for savagery exists in all of us.
It does.
The island isn't just a setting in a book.
No.
It's a reflection of the world we live in.
Yes.
The world within our own hearts.
That's right. And I keep coming back to this question of choice. Even surrounded by all this savagery, Ralph chooses to hold on to his values, his belief in civilization.
Could any of us say with certainty that we would do the same?
That's what makes this book so compelling and enduring.
Yeah.
It doesn't offer any easy answers or like simple moral judgments.
Yeah, it really challenges us to confront the complexities of human nature.
It does.
And grapple with those difficult choices that we all face.
So listener, do you see yourself as a Ralph?
Yeah.
Struggling to maintain order and decency?
Or are you drawn to the allure of Jack's wildness?
Right.
That promise of power and freedom.
It's interesting how Golding doesn't just focus on, like, the characters. The island itself plays such a crucial role.
Yeah.
I mean, in the beginning, it's this Edenic paradise.
Right.
You know, a place of, like, untouched beauty and abundance.
Yeah, it's so lush.
Yeah.
And I think that contrast between the initial beauty and the savagery that unfolds.
Right.
I think that's so essential.
I agree.
To the book's message.
Yeah. It's like Golding is saying, even in the most beautiful places,
human
nature can't escape its own darkness.
Then as they descend further into savagery, The island kind of mirrors that.
Right.
You know, like the signal fire, meant to be a symbol of hope, becomes destructive.
Totally.
The beaches are littered with debris.
Yeah.
And the remnants of their hunts.
It's like the island itself is a canvas for their moral degradation.
Yeah, and then just when it seems like all hope is lost, this naval officer appears on the beach.
Talk about jarring.
So jarring.
Yeah.
It's this sudden intrusion of the adult world into this chaotic world they've created.
It's significant that he arrives just as Ralph is being hunted.
Oh, wow,
by Jack's tribe.
Yeah.
Like, the arrival of adult authority of civilization coincides with the moment when savagery is at its most extreme.
But he's so oblivious to what's actually happened. Yeah. He just sees it as a grand adventure.
A jolly good show.
A jolly good show.
He can't even fathom it.
It's such a brilliant move by Golding.
It is.
Because that disconnect between his perception and the reality highlights the limitations of adult understanding.
Exactly.
It suggests that adults can be just as blind to the complexities of human nature as the children that they claim to protect.
And Ralph's reaction is just heartbreaking.
Oh, I know.
When he breaks down weeping, not just for Piggy,
right,
but for the end of innocence, the darkness of man's heart.
He's grasping the weight of what they've lost.
He is.
What they've become.
Yeah, that's a huge moment for Ralph. It's like this recognition of the duality of human nature.
The capacity for both good and evil.
Exactly.
Wow, and while he's rescued from the island, you wonder if he'll ever truly be free.
Right, will he ever really escape from the memory of what happened there?
That's what makes this book so powerful.
Yeah.
It stays with you.
It really does.
Long after you finish reading it.
It forces you to confront some uncomfortable truths about yourself, about human nature.
About civilization.
Yeah, and I think that's what Golding intended.
Yeah.
He wasn't just writing a story to entertain.
Right.
He was issuing a warning.
Yeah.
A reminder that savagery is possible for all of us.
Right.
And we have to choose which path we will take.
It's up to us to decide if we're going to succumb to that darkness.
Right.
Or try to hold on to the light.
So as we emerge from this deep dive into Lord of the Flies.
Yes.
What will we choose to create?
What kind of world?
Will we build a society based on compassion, understanding, and the rule of law?
Or will we let fear and violence guide our actions?
The choice is ours.
It really is.
Both individually and collectively.
And thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, this has been great.
It's been a thought-provoking journey.
It has.
And I hope it's left you with a lot to think about.
Me too.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the fire of knowledge burning bright.